The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Live tonight from the Talladega Superspeedway, LSRTV, happy to be with you as always, where we say good evening sim racing fans and welcome to the Superspeedway Cup Series playoff for the Season 14 Championship. It all gets rocking and rolling in tonight's Talladega 250, and we're happy that you're going to be a part of it with us on LSRTV and iRacing Live. As always, Evan Pasoko, Rachel Whiteford topside with you, and a lovely and talented Cisco Scarabooza downstairs. We've been talking about this for more than 14 weeks, Rachel, but finally we have come up with our 12-driver chase grid, and we begin the first step in search of a championship right here, right now, with those 12 drivers.
Yeah, we certainly do, Evan, and wow, the final round was hectic, but this one, something tells me it's going to be a little bit more dramatic and things start to really matter here, so we're going to get some fantastic racing action back at Talladega, and you know what, there couldn't be a better place.
I think the single biggest thing to note, and it's something that we had reiterated over and over in the regular season, was that, you know, wins obviously get yourself a ticket into the championship. And now that we are here inside of the playoffs, now that is more important than ever, because a little bit of an unconventional, I think, is a fair word to describe this championship. We've seen many different variations of the chase, of the playoff here on the iRacing service, and in the Superspeedway Cup Series. We've seen it done a couple of different ways in seasons past. Doing it for the first time, though, in this way. It is a 12-driver opening round of the championship. And you take a look how they come into tonight. Bonus points based on wins. Mark Jorgensen Jr. going to get 15 bonus points. He'll be at the top of the pile. Chaburko, Wofford, and Bakicid sitting in there with 2 wins and 10 bonus points apiece. You've got Passini, Basilio, Walker in with 1 win apiece. And then the points transferees, Henry, Servant, Flag, Berger, and Oltmans getting no bonus points. But now we're going to have 3 races. Tonight at Talladega, we'll go back to Daytona, we'll come back to Talladega. That'll make up the round of 12. Then we're not eliminating 3 drivers and going on to a round of 9. We cut the field in half and go to the round of 6, and there is no winner-take-all round in this series. The round of 6 will be a trip to Daytona, a trip to Talladega, and a trip back to Daytona. Top driver of those 6 after those 3 rounds is going to be your Season 14 championship. So we're cutting 6 drivers. That's a pretty big deal. So we were talking towards the end of the regular season a lot, Rachel, about should guys back off of going for the wins and try to points race. I'm not sure points racing is going to be at the top of these guys' minds. They're going to want to get that win, get the headache behind them, and then have a front row seat at the next couple of weeks of action, which is sure to be an exciting one.
Certainly is, Evan. Of course, they want to make sure they are locked in and secure, like you say. And, well, these guys are going to be pushing as hard as they possibly can to make this one happen. And there's an 88 car on that track who wants to put himself in exactly the right place to do that one. Can they do it? Well, they're going to find out in 94 laps.
And the one little quirk about tonight, and I think we noted it last week as well, is we were just at Talladega. What a week ago this season has been. Talladega and Daytona alternating back and forth, but a couple of seasons ago we ended up with Talladega as the season finale race for the first time, I think, ever in series history, and they made sure that on this calendar we would wrap things up back at Daytona under the lights as it has been in series tradition. So we double up Talladega last week to end the regular season, and Talladega to kick off this chase for the championship, and you saw it on that playoff map there. Talladega, Daytona, Talladega for this round. The championship round of 6 could be Daytona 07, Talladega, and Daytona. But the fun and games, I think, are gone. These guys like to have a lot of fun on Friday nights. There's no doubt about that, Rachel. But I think tonight that intensity gets ratcheted up a little bit because there are 12 drivers, many of them looking for a first championship. They're going to have to start to get the word.
Yeah, they certainly are. And well, it's going to be a very brutal run through this chase, of course, Evan. These guys aren't going to like it, and there's going to be some contention, but it's going to make the racing that bit more exciting for everybody at home.
Let's go trackside. With that being said, take a look at your LSRTV starting grid for round number 15 tonight from Dega and the opening round of the playoffs. Tonight's Drive for Autism Pole Award goes to the 20 of Derek Walker with the 51.678. He will start from pole position, joined on the front row by your current playoff leader, the number 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. Ray Rittenauer going to roll tonight from third spot. Chris Bassini will start in fourth. They make up row number 2, and Ron Flag, big jump from where he was in practice, qualifies at number 10 Chevrolet inside the top 5.
Starting in 6th place there on row number 3, Paul Savant on the outside. Row number 4, Corey Henry, Rodney Warford. With row number 5, Shane McEachin and Jason Altmans.
11th position tonight for the 21 Coors Ford, Glenn Hedrick and Andrew Berger. Right-hand side of row number 6, he will start from 12th. Scott Warren gets the honors of starting in the unlucky number 13 starting spot tonight. Nathan Davis did not get the time at practice that team was looking for. Top 5 at practice, but 14th in the qualifying session. Just behind him, Ramona Evans will start from 15th.
Sydney Will starting in 16th on row number 8. I think we're on now. It's Scott Saunders, Garrett Atwell. With row number 9 being Mike Field and Jared Haggerty, with Tom Dreeling on the inside of row number 10.
Only 3 other drivers taking a time in qualifying tonight. That'll be 21st position, Dan Harrington, 22nd, Wayne Cooper, 23rd, Brandon Chiburko, and provisionals from there on through. Brandon Cruz Monsivais, who was the fastest driver in practice, does not take a time in qualifying, just missed out on qualifying into this chase and playoff, but he'll start way back there in the number 24 position, and that'll be a look top to bottom at our LSRTV starting grid. Phil, gonna roll down to turn number 1. As always, let's chat a little bit about this Talladega Superspeedway located in Lincoln, Alabama. This racetrack has been around since 1968, owned and operated by the International Speedway Corporation. But the racetrack itself is what makes this place so unique. 2.666 miles in length, an asphalt surface with 4 turns banked at about 33 degrees nearly all the way around this place. And again, just as it was 1 week ago, 94 laps on the board tonight. That will take us to our 250 mile marker, as it has been all season long up to this point. Lights out on top of the pace car as they head down the Alabama Gang super stretch as we look for the green this time by. These guys are ready to lock in for the first round of this playoff, the round of 12.
Certainly are, Evan, heading up now towards that big number 3, and soon getting ready to go green for this one tonight. The first round of those playoffs. Strong front row. Derek Walker, Mark Jorgensen Jr., Rittenauer and Bassini are very strong. Flags, Pontiac is up there. That's one that's not quit all season. These guys definitely are going to have a big, big run tonight. And what a fantastic race it's going to be. Grid a little bit smaller than it has been, but it's just going to be a little bit more packed up at the front.
And doubled up they are, top to bottom. More than 10 rows of traffic getting set to go playoff racing. For the first time, you can identify the drivers in this championship by the green numbers and the stripes on the top of the windscreens here with the Superspeedway Cup Series logo. And you can also tell where they are live on track at the top of your screen on your ticker. Those numbers are going to be outlined in green. Pace car off and away. We are finally going to go racing for the 15th time on the season. American Ethanol green flag. The playoff is underway from Talladega outside, and championship leader Jorgensen with the nose at the start finish line. He'll challenge to turn number 1 as we get up to the gears into third, now into fourth already at 160 miles an hour as they'll rocket at a turn number 2. Derek Walker fighting back on the inside.
Certainly is. These guys pushing early on. The outside's been strong at its initial start, Evan. Not something we normally see here, but it's certainly working this well for this one in particular. And got to take a note to the 2 of the Dark Horse guys on the outside, the 1 of the 7 running in some rather famous liveries in this one.
Yeah, a lot of the cars on the racetrack, you'll recognize the Water Machine, somebody else who's got a very well-recognized paint scheme on his board. And again, you look above the windshield. If there's bright green, that means you should keep an extra eye on whoever driving that machine is, because they're a part of our Championship 12. It's unfair to say that it's a complete reset, because 15 points between Jorgensen and between the guys who got in based on points and didn't receive any bonus points could be big. 15 points is a lot over the course of just a 3-race round. So there's always an advantage to getting yourself helped out just a little bit. As these things get on, bonus points are something that are so often overlooked, but that win would be enough to get you onto that chase grid and would have been enough to get you the bonus points. A win in this round would just get you into the round of 6. That is the objective for all 12 chase competitors at the moment. Lap number 2 going to be in the works as we come to turn number 4 this time. Walker, the 87, a Rittenauer, and the 10 Fraud Flag, pulling just a smidge of a gap over the guys to the outside as they continue to hold the bottom in line as they were at the drop of the green.
Certainly on the outside there, the 88 Johnson Jr. with the 1, Cassini just holding strong there with the 3. A little bit further back there, Paul Savant with the 7 of Watford. There's 2 pairs on the outside until you get back to the 36 and the 24. Quite a long way back there. Berger and Nathan Davies just not quite getting as far forwards as they might need to in this. You'd expect a bit more of a push, but they aren't quite getting it right at this point in time. Outside line really stalling out at this early stage here on lap number 3 of 94. Of course, if this one stays patient like it's looking almost at the moment, these guys might actually be looking at green flags this time by.
Well, the field is not huge. 24 cars taking a green flag is a healthy sized field for a plate race, and it's going to be enough to provide us, with great pack racing, and that second lane can be up there all night long if you get enough guys that agree that that's what they want to try to do. But it is smaller than a 40-car field. There's no doubt in that, so maybe a little bit of extra space. The fact that this lead pack can spread out just that little bit more while still being in contact with the guys up front could mean that this race could get a green flag atmosphere to it. And again, it's still early on. You would think that because it is the open round of the playoff that these guys would just completely lose their minds and they'd go after it. Not that, guys like Jorgensen and people at the top of the championship, Chaburgo, Wofford, and McKeechee, not that they weren't trying in these last couple of weeks, because once they got that first win, and those are the names who racked up more than 1 win over the course of the regular season, it's not that they weren't trying, but they were a little bit laxed because they knew that they could kind of make a couple of gutsy moves, and if it didn't work, it wasn't the end of the world. But now everybody's going to be, I think, a lot more tense. Every move they make is going to matter. Take a look at the 21 of Glenn Hedrick, bottom to the outside of the racetrack. I said outside for the first time tonight. Gets a little bit of a charge going down the back straightaway. Enough to pull it even with Walker, but no more.
Yeah, can't quite make things happen just yet, but the field is really forming up down the outside. It's strengthened a lot here. Guys on low side just riding for now. They know it's early days, so do the guys on the outside, but being close to the front does generally put you in a safer spot these days. But look at this, big charge by Jorgensen Jr. Jr. getting a good run here. Can he convert this one? Massini and the 21 is not hooked up enough there behind him, Evan. It's just not going to be quite enough to get that big run he wants, but they're keeping themselves up at the front, and that is a stressful place to be on the outside.
And you always got to watch the guys on the inside. Not that the inside isn't an uncomfortable place to be in. You definitely feel claustrophobic. You hold the yellow line and you got somebody all over your door. And if the guys on the outside are uncomfortable, they can move up a bit. The guys on the inside just kind of have to deal with it. But, on the outside of the racetrack, you've got to constantly be pushing a little bit more aggressive than your counterpart to your left-hand side on the inside of the racetrack. Or the guys on the outside of the inside are going to be able to pull away. It's the shorter way around the racetrack. So if you're not pushing a little bit more, side pinching, into that side draft like you see the 88 do right there into the center of the trial, well, then the outside's going to die off. But dead even that time by the start finish line, Walker still going to be scored in the number 1 position up at the front of the field. And good news about the green flag in this one, all 24 names that we ran you through took the green flag. 22 of them are still on the lead lap. Dwayne Cooper has lost touchdown in 23rd. He's 3 seconds back. And Mike Thiel is way back in the 24th spot, 7.8 seconds away from the group.
Certainly is. And wow, this front group is still staying pretty organized, but the bottom 3 pulling away there. That is Walker out front with the 87 of written out as second, and center flag. Just pulled away for a little bit there, but just been caught up by the 21 of Hedrick. He's managed to get this one back together. Guys, keep moving out, Evan, on that high side. Cooling that radiator. They're getting hot. They're working hard up here. So these guys are already want to keep that temperature management in the forefront for themselves. So it's always going to be an important one to keep it ahead on.
Yeah, it's been quite some time since we've seen somebody just lose an engine from pushing a little bit too hard in the pack, but I feel like the last time we saw it, 3 drivers may have lost their engine all in that one race, and may have had a little bit to do with getting a tad bit overzealous on the tape. Again, these guys are very familiar with running 250 miles week in and week out, and they should be able to manage it, but you definitely have to be proactive. Not wait till the lights start blinking before you start sticking that nose out and getting some clean air. Going to be a good challenge for the race lead this time by Jorgensen. Was basically clear of Walker at a turn 4. Thought that he was going to be able to smoothly take over the race lead without much of a fight back, but Walker keeping it on the inside and keeping the 88 on the outside.
Certainly is, and that front 5 on the outside doing what they can do right now. Everyone being patient. Big gaps all around here, Evan. This is one thing I've been noticing so far in today. Well, the field is staying very cautiously away from each other. You know, it's early days, and this is looking like we have a green flag feel to this one, but you know, when I say that, someone's going to make a mistake very soon, and Hedrick's looking dicey there up behind the 28 of McEachin. Just a little bit of closeness going on, but these guys are just trying to be as patient as possible. I think they want this one to last, so I'm calling green flag pit stops.
We're about a third, a little bit more than I say, a third of the way there, with now 9 laps complete from Dega. Should be able to do this thing rather uniformly if we can stay green on 3 trips down to the pit lane again. For those who tune in every week with us on Friday nights, you're well aware of the little quirks about this series. Cautions on, lucky dogs off, the 1 quick repair, and so on and so forth. But again, these guys are not running a full fuel cell, as that one machine going to go to the race lead in turn 3. Jorgensen had just done it. Chris Piscini going to get an opportunity to put the City Chevrolet out in front. But these guys are running a 70% fuel cell, not a whole fuel cell, which means that, well, basic math takes nearly a third of the run distance off. So that's why you might see them pitted a little bit sooner than what you might expect compared to, you know, what you may used to be doing if you're doing any sort of plate racing on the official side of things, especially this past week when all of the top series were at Talladega on the official side of things.
Yeah, Talladega, of course, a very busy time of the season. Everyone wants to get out on track for the Superspeedways, and they should. It's great fun, of course, but wow, these guys, they're very experienced this sort of thing, Evan. This is literally their bread and butter. These guys do this every single week, and it shows. This is some of the best racing we get to watch here on LSRTV. These boys always put on a show, always one to watch, and the action is always big. The wreck's just as big, but they love steam sometimes.
Big excitement, big wrecks. I think that's very in line with what everybody loves about plate track racing. And we're seeing, so far, a lot of the first, not much of the latter to this point, and that's fine by me. 4 drivers on the outside of the racetrack. They're not all tightly packed together. The 22 at Chiburko continues to pop his head out on the outside, say hi, and ask what's up, but he is not committed to moving to the outside, and spots get open up bottom, 51 going to go low, so Altman's abandons the top, but the outside going to get a new driver, the 88 at Jorgensen from second in line. Again, that is a beautiful place to make a move, but making that move into the corner not going to help you much at going for the race lead, but now that he has an opportunity to lead the outside, we'll see how much help he gets from Walker.
He certainly will. Got to keep his head on the game of this one. Jorgensen Jr. still out there on the outside. Good push from Walker from behind. The 12 coming through of Henry. 28 McEachin doing what he needs to do. Piscini on the inside there. The inside line looks a little stronger, and it's always harder to fight that inside line. They have that dominant line shortly around the racetrack. Much easier to keep speed up, but Chiburko moving around a lot back there, just outside the top 10 there. Wondering what he's up to, but he is weaving like crazy right now.
And the drivers just recognized that one as well. I was listening to them chatting over the radio. And are you surprised that the 22 is making a couple of moves? Yeah. I'm surprised that he's only making a move from the inside to the well, right now it's the outside, but I'd call it the middle because he's typically a very big fan of making that third line work. and he was 3 wide a little bit
That wasn't
earlier.
a third
Didn't
line. That
last
wasn't a
too
third
long.
line at all. That was just him wiggling around being silly. And it's one of those things with Chaburko. Up and down, up and down. I mean, come on. I know he's bored, but
I'm sure he'd
it's
tell you
time
he's
and
keeping heat in the
place.
tires. Maybe that's the
Sure,
excuse.
sure. Heating the tires at 200 miles an hour. Yeah, that's the thing. Look, they're both at it now.
Yeah, you got to keep the tires warm. That way, you never know what might happen in front of you, and you got to make sure that you're up on it. And the 51 and 22 obviously chatting because typically, if the guy in front of you pulls off the racetrack at a turn 2, I'm not going to be following him. But those guys are just kind of in their own little spot. There's nobody on the outside of them. They're just far enough back on the inside where there is no outside line where they are. You see the 12, who's the last driver in line on the outside of the racetrack. That's Corey Henry, who's about a car length and a half, 2 car lengths up in front of the 51 of Oltmans, and then the 22 of Chaburko. So not a huge deal at the moment between those guys, but going to be 15 laps complete next time around. Things moving along quite nicely here in the opening minutes from Talladega. Bassini's been able to take over the race lead from Jorgensen. Jorgensen took over the race lead from Derek Walker. So 2 lead changes so far to this point. 88 trying to get another one, not going to be able to do it quite yet. Again, kind of relying on that 20 to give him some help, and if Walker's going to be able to get up to his bumper, he needs some help from Henry, and well, it'd be nice if Henry had some support, and that's where only having 3 guys at the outside of the racetrack can make it a little bit of a challenge to get those runs, but a good push here.
So he is, especially with one of those cars on the outside. It's the number 88 of Junior. He's doing what he needs to do. Johnny goes to front in front of Bassini. Fantastic slice down from Jorgensen Jr. Timed perfectly, getting the run from the high side down, gets some extra speed to get past him into 1. Worked just fine. And as everyone starts to get the outside organized again after he just disappeared, the 20 and 12 are going to get working there, but look who's coming, 28, the 21 coming as well. 82 looking like he might join these guys, so we could have a reforming group on the outside, and maybe we'll see that 22 and the 51 heading forwards.
Well, he's completely left everybody else behind. You take a look at, the 20 and the 12 still trying to pinch for their lives. 3 was hard enough. I don't know if 2's really going to work. They've got backup inbound. McKeechin coming up with the 21 of Glenn Hendrick. A big push on the outside of the racetrack as those guys start to close up the gap. But Mark Jorgensen Jr. has been able to go back to the race lead in this one. Pulls it at Eric Walker in that 20 machine, trying to keep up on the outside of the racetrack with the 12 behind him and so on and so forth. He's really been trapped topside, though, for a good at least 10, 12 laps consecutively. Not sure if the Puma machine wants to get down to the bottom and ride in line, but it seems like whenever he gets a run, it's out of the 1 or the 88 jumping up in front of him, and he's kind of stuck up there.
Yeah, certainly is. The outside's really not getting the momentum it really needs, and it's been kind of abandoned so far, Evan. These guys just not quite had it forming up quite as hard as we've seen in previous rounds. Maybe it's a sign of patience. These guys really aren't pushing as hard as they might normally, so I just don't think anyone's willing to get up there just yet. We're only 18 laps into 94, so single file's nice and comfortable.
A little bit of a bobble that time, but at turn 2, Rittenauer pushed up just a tad and got a little bit tight with the 20. The guys at the outside did the right thing. That's keep the right foot down, keep on going, and they're going to make another push up to the front. There is a secondary group of drivers on the outside of the racetrack led by Brendan Chaburko. So they may not stay in the middle for long, but Chaburko with the 21 machine behind him, the 82 machine behind them. Dan Harrington a part of this battle. They're going to break up about a 7 or 8 car lead or outside group of this lead pack if they're able to get there, and then we'll really be able to talk about maybe that 20 being able to do something.
Certainly will be. The 20 will be one of those cars to keep an eye on. So it's the 22 who's moved to the outside now. Chaburko's woken up. He's taken off his sleep mask. Time to get moving, he says. He hops up to the outside there, gets involved in that trainer, the 20, the 12, 28, 22, 21 there, getting hooked up. See them all pack up back, and they're going to start a big run towards the front. This one could definitely have the head of steam it needs.
Big momentum through the center of 3 and 4. Can they carry it out of 4, down the banking, and then all the way through the short chute to the tri-oval, the short chute to turn 1, and maybe have a shot at it? You can tell they're really going, though. The 12 back end kicking out that time off for the corner. He'll be able to challenge at the start-finish line. Would have been a good race to the checkers. Inside, gonna get it 0.4 of a second, courtesy of Mark Jorgensen Jr., and then that outside could fall so smart. If you want to drop to the inside, here's your opportunity. Big opening behind the 87 and in front of the 10. Does anybody bite on it?
Not looking like they are doing just yet. They're staying where they are roughly. Not a big hit of steam, but they are starting to move forwards. Little group further back on the outside trying to make a run as well. So they're going to come up to start lapping a car here. I think this one is, no, Mike Thiel's on pit road. That's Dwayne Cooper on the track. They're going to go a lap down very shortly here. So that'll be 3 wide as they try and get through this one. And look, he's coming up now. Chaburka reaching that front group now. A little bit further back on the outside. He's probably going to drop that down here and behind the 76 car. No, of Scott Warren, but look at that. Walker getting a good run here. Could he get time? No, will not be able to clear the 88 of Jorgensen Jr. Has to stay on the outside with the 12 behind him, the 28 of Bakichin back there, but nothing going yet. That group on top side just broken up, Evan. They've really lost the grouping they had. That strength is broken down, the draft's gone away.
I'm not sure if the 12s maybe having an issue with the temps because he is just keeping the car up there. Oftentimes you'll see somebody stick the nose up, but they'll just kind of stick out halfway out of behind the car that they're, running behind. I mean, the 12 way up the racetrack, though, so either for whatever reason he doesn't like what's going on or he needs to get down to the inside and try to cool that engine off, but that's going to leave the 20 hanging. Walker was so close to clearing down in turn 1 the last time by, and now that's basically completely gone because the outside has fallen apart and they begin to slide back.
Yeah, they certainly do. Not much they can do with it at this point there, as he will go back, but 22's up in there. He decided to gamble it and throw himself in the mix for this one, as they'll all try to head forwards up the track. Up here comes Rod Flag. Pontiac Grand Prix to the head of the line on the outside. Is the elevator going forwards? Looks like it is.
Something else to keep in mind for the guys up on the outside of the racetrack is pit stops don't normally work when you try to come in double file. We are now 22 laps complete this time around from Talladega. 2 more laps basically going to put us at quarter distance, which would be right in line with what I was talking about a little bit earlier about a 3-stop strategy to the end of this thing. Pit stop's not all that far, and if you're a guy on the outside who's planning on pitting with a teammate or somebody that you've agreed to work with who's on the bottom, you're going to either get to the race lead now or hope that somebody lets you in line. Maybe somebody that'll be courteous to let you down if they want to help you out and kind of get your assistance as well. Again, there is strength in numbers when it comes to pitting.
Yes, absolutely, and pitting will be something we'll be seeing very soon, Evan. We are coming up on those green flag stops. I called it, and I think we're going to make it up there. Oh, Flag goes up the racetrack. What's happened to Rod Flag? He went shooting up the top side there. That wasn't usual. He was not being touched by the 20, but it just seems like Flag just chose to go to the track. Gets pulled over to the top line and stays. He goes backwards, so maybe a decision to go back and join some teammates here before pitting. So Rod Flag making a tactical decision to go backwards. Maybe not wanting to be so close to front as he goes all the way back and drops into the inside line.
It has to be because the 10 definitely went up to the outside on purpose. And again, maybe trying to get behind the chaos that is soon to ensue. Something that is so often overlooked in the sim is pitting at super speedways under green flag conditions. It happens a lot in league racing. You'll see a lot of it if you do the official racing. But for everybody who just kind of hops into a hosted session, if you ever have to come down green flag pit stops, it does not look pretty. These guys race these tracks week in and week out. They are well versed with how to do it. But when you've got a lead pack that's about 14, 13 cars deep, things can get dicey coming to that commitment cone, trying to get things slowed down from some 200 miles an hour down to the pit lane speed of only 60 miles an hour. So maybe he did not want to be the person at the front of it who would have then been a break for somebody else who maybe got it a little bit too hot.
Yeah, if you look back there, you can see that a few of those guys have hooked up together. You've got Dwayne Cooper with the lap down, hooked up with the 10 of Flag and the 24 of Berger. Those guys all getting organised and getting together. You've got groups really forming up here. They know it's coming soon. Maybe a lap or two away here from green flag stops in this one. And guys trying to get themselves organised, knowing if they're going in this time or another time and waiting how many laps. So this one is important to get right. There's a bunch of guys looking like they might dive down. Not this time by, though.
Well, my OCD would have appreciated that lap because lap 25, and not, again, exactly quarter distance because Talladega just that little bit longer than Daytona. It only takes us 94 laps around this joint to get to 250 miles. When we talk about Daytona Beach next week, it'll be 100 laps. to get us to that distance marker. But maybe a little bit of insurance never hurt anybody. Don't take a shorter stint early and unintentionally kind of put yourself in a little bit of a bubble when it comes to that last stop of the race. Go as far as you can now, might as well, and that way that you absolutely know that there's not going to be concern later on down the road. I feel like when these guys are going to start to pit, though, we should hear radio chatter at some point down the backstretch or in 3 and 4 ahead of time. They could just drop down at a 4 on us without any notice, but I feel like these guys should be chatting with each other, at least for the big group up front. Couple of guys in, though. Remote Evans drops down, Haggerty's down, and a handful of others. The lead pack, though, still staying out, but a lot from the back end, and problems with Dwayne Cooper. The double O just spun on the pit lane. Talking about problems, 22nd, 1 lap down, locked it up.
Yeah, he was one of those cars a lap down at that point, so he's had to go down. Not what he wanted to have happen at that point. Replay's up for you there on screen. You see him just coming onto pit road, and look at that one happen, Evan. That's just, gets it locked on the brakes, and round he goes. Keep an eye on our leaders, though. They're coming up to pit road here. Who will see come down this time by?
We will see with this main group as they come to cycle out of turn 4. Handful of drivers came in for the back. Here they go, led by Jorgensen, but a charge to pit road. Bassini tight at the line. I'm not sure if Jorgensen was able to get it out in time. Looks like everybody 3 wide at points were able to get him checked up in time.
This is Talladega, folks. So we think Chaburko's sped, though. It'll be a hold in his box. If it is, we'll keep an eye on him. Should be a normal stop for tyres and fuel here, but he's actually been serviced straight away, so not looking like he sped there because he's down, out and away. So Chaburko okay at this point, but that was just right side tyres for Chaburko, so that's a quick stop for him. Sunoco race fuel, right side, Goodyear tyres, but yeah, only in Talladega, Evan. You see him 3 wide entering pit road.
That was actually a little bit of a tighter situation than they were on the racetrack. And the good news for this group is it looks like more than not, they all are able to get out of pit road together. Top 3 breakaway, just a switch. You got Bassini, Wofford, Jorgensen, and maybe Oltmans, who are at the lead of this, getting off to the pit lane, and they might be able to pull away. But I feel like these guys are tight enough that give it 4 or 5 laps, they'll end up as one more big group. So the question is, where are the drivers who have already completed pit service that lap prior? Take a look back to Jared Haggerty, Tom Dryerling, Remote Evans. Here they come to corner 3. They're already at speed at 195 miles an hour, but I don't believe they'll be cycling through to the top positions.
Not looking like it at the moment. Those guys just not quite in the right place to make this one go forwards, but they're going to have to sort themselves out here and group up as this pack, which they will do over time, of course, but this does mean this is one of those things we see, Evan, when you've had green flag pit stops, which don't form up as fast or don't form up at all. So that big pack we had to start a race with, if this stays green, this is going to stay on for pretty much the rest of the race here. So you get to 1 green flag stop, the field breaks up like this. Typically you see a 2nd and a 3rd, so this could be a green flag race to start the playoffs.
Yeah, the pit stops separate people. The only reason I don't think that this lead group's going to be able to stay out in front because it's 3 versus 8. And I think that second pack of Oltmans, McEachin, Chaburko, Walker, Rittenauer, Berger, Henry, and Flag, I definitely think they're going to be able to catch him. But then that next group of 3, I don't think Haggerty, Dryerling, and Evans are going to be able to get to them. I don't think Montsevice, Servant, Warren, and Atwell and those guys, Saunders and Harrington, I don't think that they're going to be able to catch up. So we'll probably end up with, just as you said, about 3 different groups here based on that first cycle of pit service. And we did just start to lap people before we came down to the pit lane. I believe it was Dwayne Cooper who had spun on, coming down to the pit lane from already being 1 lap down. And then Mike Thiel with the drivers who at that moment were 1 lap down. But now we also have Glenn Hedrick. Problems for the 21. He is slow at a turn 4, and he'll be coming down to the pit lane from 1 lap down already. Some problems for that machine.
Yeah, certainly are there, and that will be out of gas. Oh, he stayed too long, perhaps. Or didn't take fuel that time on the stop. Maybe he didn't get fuel when he needed it. Problems, but the big pack at the front actually has reformed here, Evan. So this front group has caught each other already. This is how powerful the draft is now. But they're going single file. 7 on the outside has just been dropped by the 88 as it's the 1, the 51, 88, and then 7 here for the front. So this one's, wow, reformed very fast. Top 10 all in a group.
And the fate of that machine stuck up on the outside of the racetrack, the 7 of Wofford, is not in his own hands. He'll be able to find a spot in between the 22 and the 20. Maybe the 20 backed off for him because that hole kind of opened up pretty quickly. But if nobody was going to go to the outside, he was going to drop until the back, until somebody offered to cut him a break, and he does find a spot in lawn. It'll be about 6th position. Battle for the race lead. Here we go. Out from behind in the number 2 spot. Opens to the outside of the racetrack. Jorgensen to follow him, and everybody is going to leave Chris Passini. No help for the one on the inside. And here comes the freight train.
That is crazy. Evan Passini not feeling very friendly at the moment. Nobody loved him there. As only the 7 will stick with him, and the 20, of course, teammates there. But wow, the 51, the 88, the 28, all dropping down, and wow, they just dumped the 22 of Chaburko there. That's going to result in some... He will remember that one, I think.
Yeah, it's not the best idea to make enemies because you need some help. I mean, conventional wisdom says you want to have as many people willing to work with you as possible. Now, everybody's going to be nice with everybody more or less in the opening 9/10 of the race. I don't even think teammate alliances matter when we get inside of 10 laps to go at a plate race. So I don't think at that point anything matters. But a little bit early, that looked very organized to have 4 drivers just step out from behind the race leader. It didn't end up that badly for Passini. He was able to get in line 4th, and he will assume 3rd in line because Shane McKeechin deciding to step up to the outside of the racetrack, and now he'll be the driver dropping back on the outside.
Sunny Airs, and of course, and wow, of all the people you don't want to make enemies with, that's probably Brandon Chaburko would be on that list somewhere high. McKeechin does come back though and grabs Chaburko. The two are going to get hooked up, but no, he's dropping back too quickly. Chaburko, big head of speed. We'll have to see if we can get themselves up to racing tempo here and keep themselves moving forward. Henry will pop out. Could have another group making their way towards the front.
And this lead pack has grown. Obviously, the little 3-car breakover that we talked about, and then the other 8-car group has been able to get together, and that's how we get 11 cars in the lead pack. But those other packs have really started to fall off. I thought Haggerty and Evans and Monsivice would have had a much better opportunity to take over the race lead by that short pit, but A, they had less drivers, and B, a couple of them got actually caught up in an accident as they came down to the pit road, and that lap machine spun. Monsivice got damaged in that, so that knocked another driver off of the equation. And the guys up front did really good pitting. Typically, you got 20 guys or so coming down pit road. A lot can happen, and you're almost a little bit over-conservative. That was a beautifully executed cycle by all the drivers in this lead pack. And that's why they have opened up a 7.3-second gap over 12th, 13th on the back. And those drivers, despite the fact that they are in groups, they're going to have to be concerned now about staying on to this lead lap. You talk about a whole cycle of green flag, and if we come down pit road at the halfway point or so, get back out there, and maybe these guys pull a little bit more time, there's a chance that those 3 groups back there might not be able to hang on to the lead lap as Chris Passini going to be able to get back front following the mutiny from a couple of laps ago, courtesy of the 7 of Wofford. He's back P1.
He certainly is, and it's still Henry, McKeechin, and Chaburko on the outside there. They're going to hook up themselves together and get themselves going forwards once again here, see if they can make any difference. Wofford and Walker looking like they were going to try and do something there as well, but now this armed resistance on the outside is still got toothpicks rather than cannons, but I think they're trying to scale up.
And really, I think that a big hurdle was overcome once these guys were able to get through that first cycle of pit stops. Not to take away from, the next 20, 25 laps or so of racing, Rachel, but it is a lot less critical to be up front in a 12-car pack, or 11-car pack, coming up to pit stops than it is to be towards the front in a 25-car pack. Because, again, this group could absolutely fracture. We could see them come down in 2 different groups onto the pit lane, or somebody have an issue and check a couple of cars up, and this could become 2 groups after the next cycle of pit stops. But I feel like the guys inside of the top 11 right now are in a fantastic spot, whether you're first, whether you're second, third, fourth, all the way on to 11th position. So I'm kind of in agreement with, Shane McKeechin back here, or Rod Flag, just kind of hanging back, not really forcing the issue in the 2 wide, because I think you're in a perfect spot right now. Don't put yourself in any sort of compromising position.
Certainly not at the moment. It's Passini there with Wofford up at the front in this one. Altmans and Jorgensen Jr. there. They're running too wide, too deep at the front, and we're on lap 37. How fast? The halfway point is coming up here, Ever. This one is flying past. This can't be a green flag race at Talladega. Let's try and jinx this one for the fans because we're doing some action in this.
Like I said, we've seen these in the past. To be fair, and it's not a knock on the league, rarely. That's because it's plate track racing. That's just not a thing that happens. Everybody talks about the big one. In sim racing, no, I think we talk about the big ones because we got a quick fix. So you junk the car, you can get back out there, hop in one more just for the fun of it. No, but, you know, we got 20 drivers on the lead lap. There's still great action going on up front. Altman's just tried to step high. That time didn't work. It was interesting that Piscini was leading this race and kind of not voluntarily, but moved up to the outside of the racetrack and gave up the race lead. I think it was trying to kind of mediate the run that the outside had, and these guys on the inside pushed their way through, and now that number one's going to have to try to do it all over again to get back up front.
Certainly is, of course, and while that outside line is pushing as hard as it can here, they're just staying patient. As this group here, we have about 11 cars at this stage, Evan, in this front group. Within about half a second of each other at the speeds they're doing here. Maxing out of 199 in the corners, 202, 3 miles an hour in the straights here. This group really has pulled away 12 seconds clear of the second pack, which is Haggerty, Evans, and Monsivice. Then you've got the little groups, little 2s and 3s, rows. We all go backwards. Atwell, Saunders, Warren, Harrington, and Davies is one group there. This front group, this is a problem, of course. These groups go back, they gain, because they weren't anywhere near this one. But can you risk that if this thing stays green? It's not going to be beneficial to you, as this group getting kind of racy here now as we head towards the halfway point.
Yeah, halfway point is about 7 laps away. When we get to that point, as always, we'll take a look at our iRacing midway race break. We'll break down the opening 47. We'll talk about the following 47 still to come. It is a 3-stop race, but don't expect these guys to pit right at the halfway point. Fuel's going to be able to take them a little bit longer. No, nobody can stay out, stretch the fuel, and do it on a 2-stop strategy. But the stints in the second half of the race will definitely be shorter than the stints in the opening half of the race. There is no overtime or a green-white checker to have to conserve that extra fuel for just in case, but it is worthwhile noting that, again, that these guys may not necessarily be coming down right at the halfway point. So hopefully, if they stay out on track and we get to that point, we'll be able to look top to bottom before things get shuffled up just a little bit. Outside of the racetrack, we're going to go 3 wide. Here come some soon-to-be 2-lap down cars on the outside of the racetrack. The 36 machine is going to drop now off of the lead lap. And the 61 of Mike Thiel going to drop 2 laps down on the outside. Again, they are drafting with each other, but 2 cars is nothing like 11.
Certainly not at all. Look at the head of steam this group has it. Yeah, 2 cars in a draft. Fast, Evan, but not as fast as the big pack. You'll see some incredible speeds from these guys as they run along in this large pack of traffic. And that makes a big difference for them, of course. 7 dropping down to the lead there of Watford. And these guys at the front, these are regular players, if you will, in this series. These are the ones you always find up here at the front, the sharp end of the action here. Of course, we get some heroic charges through by other guys, but it's always this group. You know, the likes of Wofford, Jorgensen Jr., Piscini, Altmans, Walker, Rittenauer, Henry, and Berger, Flag, and Jaburka. I'm just reading the top 10, but that is the normal people we see here, and they are doing a fantastic job of this one. But when does the patience run out? That's what I'm asking. When does that patience run out? When do we see these guys realize this is the playoffs? We got to go.
That's definitely the question. And is it going to be after the second trip down to the pit lane, or are these guys still going to be content? Like, I think they should be, but it's a little bit easier to sit up here and say, you're good, you know, and then obviously everybody wants to get up front, lead laps. That could help get the win, and it's the playoffs. So, you know, these guys are kind of jacked up and ready to go. But I would say, like I say every week, wait until you pit for the final time. They never listen to me, though, so I don't think we need to be concerned about having to wait till the final 20 laps of this race before things really start to get interesting. But how about this single file inside of the top 8, maybe all the way through the field, as the 88 tries to find a spot on line and can't get it in front of the 28 of Bakichin.
Certainly is, and well, McEachin doing what he has to do right now to keep this one going forwards, but well, Shane McEachin is still kind of really slugging around in the back end of this front group here, Evan. Him and Chaburko, they've been looking like they're about to make noise, but look at this, he comes backwards. Jorgensen Jr. sliding
Caution.
down that line. Caution changes everything.
Lap 44, and it's problems for Paul Servant in the number 3 Chevrolet. He's spinning way back, and this is an accident at a battle for 15th and 16th position. The 3 got assisted, turned by the 4, and up into the outside fence.
And yeah, and just after that, the 4 got assisted by the 49. So instant karma for the 4 as he gets dubbed after the fact into the outside wall. And wow, that was 2 separate incidents, including a 3rd one from a car who wasn't even involved. The 82 just decides to lose it himself and plows into the outside barrier.
So now we're in an interesting spot because these guys are going to pit right at the halfway point. They should still, and I say should because that's about all the expertise I can offer, should still be good if they all come down and pit under the caution flag to be able to make it at least one more stop if we were to go green from that point on. But it does take away that little bit of that insurance that we were noting. It means that we are going to cross the halfway point under the caution flag as the field is going to catch up to the iRacing.com pace car, who's off in turns 3 and 4 at the moment, expecting that these guys should, they'll be in.
Certainly is. We'll keep an eye on what happens as they will go down pit road for service. Because let's be honest, they're going to come down again and get this one topped up. They're actually heading towards their second green flag period. So, well, this changes it all. You know, we thought maybe they could go green flag from here, Evan, but I don't think, oh, this has changed it. We've got 1 caution, there's going to be a 2nd one, which means there's going to be a 3rd one, and this is where things get crazy, of course.
Yes, cautions breed cautions, and our chances of this thing going green on a 1 caution race only is not likely, if you just want to be honest and talk about the stats.
Problems.
Race leaders are in, though. The 28 completely overshoots the box. The going to have a problem get back into the pit stall. He can't do it. He's going to have to bail. The 7 going to go 2 tires. He's going to lose the race off of pit road to the 51.
Huge problems for the 1 of Piscini there. He slides into his box and makes contact with the pit wall before having to back up and get service, then leave pit road. That's a tad embarrassing.
And that's almost exactly what happened a little bit further back on the pit lane as well. So you're going to get a replay on the 1. I'm curious if we can get one on the 28 as well, because McEachin did that same thing and then some. Just completely bombed it onto the pit lane. He kind of couldn't tell where he was trying to pit because the 24 was right in front of him, locked it up, slid all the way into the box of the 7, and then that car wouldn't back up because he was pinned up against the outside fence. He had to pull forward, pull backwards again, get into the box. He ended up taking fuel only, and that's going to cost one of your top runners a lot of positions.
Really is, and it's going to cost him possibly a little bit of damage. He's not going to want to use that free repair. He's got that backup car just yet because, well, he might need it later on in this one, and you got to keep this sort of stuff handy in the playoffs. So we'll have to see how he does from this one. But a lot of these guys have now been shaken up for position, but we get to this packed up again here, Evan. That's going to be a big thing for this.
So this next time by, we will be right at the halfway point in this end. We'll wait until the guys come across the start finish sign, scoring cycles through, and we will take the opportunity to take a look at your iRacing midway race break, brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service. iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks all around the world. And in the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is a one-stop shop for online racing with officially sanctioned series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, World of Outlaws, and many more. That time by the start finish on will be the halfway point next time through. Jason Altmans is your race leader at lap number 47. Roddy Rockford is scored in 2nd. Ray Rittenauer in 3rd. Our pole sitter Derek Walker is 4th, and Corey Henry rounds through our top 5. Mark Jorgensen Jr., championship leader by by 5 points over a three-way tie for second, third, and fourth. Runs sixth rather on the racetrack at the moment. Rod flag is seventh. Biggest mover, Brandon Chaburko, 23rd to 8th. In the opening half of this race, he's got Jared Haggerty behind him in 9th and Andrew Berger in the number 10 spot. 11th spot is Chris Pasini, and 12th is Scott Warren. That's halfway through.
He certainly is. Ramon Evans in the 13th spot. Unlucky number 13 in this case, with Garrett Atwell in 14th. Brandon Cruz-Monsivais 15th. McEachin, Saunders, Drayling, and Davies with Harrington your top 20. Behind that is Mike Thiel, Dwayne Cooper, Paul Savant, Glenn Hedrick, and Austin Coop. Of course, the likes of Coop, Hedrick, Savant are not in great shape here. They're the ones 13 or 2 laps down at this point, Evan, so not looking like they're going to be involved further in this.
Yeah, those the top 18 scored on the lead lap. That's been a look at your iRacing the Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com and sign up today while you still can. iRacing.com/World of Outlaws. You can take advantage of some exclusive promo codes that are valid on new iRacing memberships only. You can get yourself a 1-year membership right now for up to 50% off. Or if you just want to give iRacing a try, you can do a 3-month membership for less than $5. So if you've been thinking about it, you've been looking for an excuse, there's a lot of great dirt content on the sim. These Cup cars just got the 2017 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series packages on them. This is the time to do it. That'll be at iRacing.com/World of Outlaws.
Whoa. We just had a huge wreck on the actual front stretch here. It was Chaburko, and I will look up now at what has happened here, but oh my gosh, Brandon Chaburko involved in a crash under caution as Chaburko, I'm thinking there's technical problems because he just comes up the track in front of the 24, goes hard into the wall, spins out the 24. There's got to be a technical fault there.
Well, the 24 pulled up, and I think just based on where the 24 was running, he was supposed to be behind the 6. So I don't think Chaburko was expecting somebody to be up on the outside of the racetrack. And, you know, a lot of these guys under the caution flag, what they might be doing is, just kind of messing with some buttons and things and getting themselves reset for the next run. And I think he might have been driving up to say hi to Rod Flag in the 10. Or maybe because Brandon Chaburko was scored at 8th, Rachel, he was making his way to the outside of the 10 to restart for the green, and he wasn't expecting the 24 to be there. 24 was in a blind spot. He hit him. They made contact, spun around in the middle of the track.
Blind spot, I'm not so sure, Evan. When you're in the car, you've got your mirror, of course, and you can see if a car's kind of back there. You should at least seen part of him. I can't believe he didn't know he was there. I think maybe some sort of technical fault. I mean, it looked like he pulled up very rapidly, so I'm not sure, but that's unlike Chaburko.
Nonetheless, the green flag is not going to be delayed, and we're going to go back into green flag conditions for the first time tonight off of a caution flag. We are halfway home in our Talladega 250. It is the opening race of the 2017 Season 14 Superspeedway Cup Series playoff, and the green flag flies one more time. 48 laps complete, 46 to go. What does the second half bring us?
Well, it's 3 wide, or nearly was, just back to back. In fact, it is 3 wide there with a 3, the 06, and the 61 towards the back of your front pack here. But the front of your group, it's been a very poor start by the outside line there. Only really the 7 and the 20 holding strong on the outside. Everyone else dropping back there early on, Evan, as 51 leads away.
7 machine on the outside, kind of all by himself. He does have one little bit of support. It comes courtesy of the 20 machine. Derek Walker, but they are slotting back the outside, nowhere near the restart that they wanted to get. They're going to go all the way back, it looks like, outside of the top 7.
Certainly is looking like, big wreck, coming into Triangle. More cars with problems there as Flag comes up off the bottom. We'll try and get a replay for you. Cuts across the nose of the 7, round they both go, and where they'll stop, rest of the pack found out as big Skittles effect goes on, and we get the big one in the Triangle, cars in the grass.
It started between the 10 and the 7. Rod Flag pushed up off for that yellow line. The 7 was there, I think, in a relatively fair position. And that just hooked that Titterod flag straight up into the outside fence and took the 7 with him. Flag comes back down the hill. Big hit on a 49 and the 3, the 61, the 00. A couple of cars, all 4 tires off the ground. And big junk here, bringing out our second caution on the night. We told you, under the yellow, cautions breed cautions. There you go.
That was certainly an unusual one. And a lot of guys moving up without checking if they're clear tonight, Evan. It seems to be the theme of the evening, perhaps. But that one really caused a huge scatter effect, bouncing off the wall there. A couple of cars ended up in traffic, and well, guys were fanning out across the grass, across the track, and trying to find open space to get through. But wow, this has definitely made things a little bit on the interesting side. A lot of big guys in that incident, so that's backup cars rolling off the trailers now.
And that's going to check things up once again. Drivers were just down the pit lane. Obviously, those involved in the accident are going to come down to get damages fixed, but for the guys up front, pitting right now does not take a pit stop out of the game, so I wouldn't expect many guys up front to come down pit road. The one machine is going to decide to pit. That's Chris Passini from the 7th spot. So as we pace into the caution flag for a second time tonight from Lincoln, Alabama, we'll take a quick opportunity, toss the yellow flag for our own, and we'll step aside, take a quick commercial break. We will do so LSRTV non-stop, so you don't miss a moment of the action. Back for the restart on the other side. You're watching our continuing coverage of the Superspeedway Cup Series playoff on iRacing Live.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
There are 3 different paths if you want to call yourself a world champion of sim racing. NASCAR, open wheels, or endurance racing. But no matter which one you take, you can guarantee that the journey will always be tough, which few will ever complete. The iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, the premier road racing series in sim racing, started with a new car taking center stage. Then, it was Martin Kroenke resisting any challenge thrown at him to break the 5-year stranglehold of Gregor Hutu as being world champion. These drivers and teams are not just competing for pride, they're competing for money. And with over $20,000 in prizes for each of the series up for grabs, drivers really do put it all on the line.
The NASCAR Beginner for Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time Oval World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign.
The Blancpain GT Series hosts the top GT3 endurance teams in sim racing, with groups of 3 or more drivers sharing the wheel. This is a championship you can't win alone, and you need the same determination, passion and drive from your teammates to be successful. They often say that it takes just one mistake to lose a championship, and in team racing, it may not be your mistake that costs you the win. Last season, VRS Coanda Simsport won the championship by a single point. This year, who will step up to the plate?
These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. Catch it all season long with live coverage on iracing.com/live.
Back live from Talladega, the American Ethanol green flag flies back under green flag conditions. 53 laps complete, 54 now into the works, going to be 40 laps to go the next time by here from Lincoln, Alabama. Side by side for the race lead. Altman's taking a green flag on the inside of the front row. Rittenauer on the outside, side by side through 1 and 2. We'll see if the outside can get a better jump this time than they did the prior.
Outside staying well together here actually at the moment, Evan, as they will get themselves moving forwards. 87 have written out second now at 88 of Junior. 20, oh, the 4 drops down. People dropping away here. Nobody wants to stay on the outside, even though it had one of its better starts this season.
88 machine going to make a move from the top to the inside. He'll slot up behind Jared Haggerty and just in front of the 76 of Scott Warren. Now, but a call to that 76 machine got excluded of that lead pack earlier. This caution, though, I guess the most recent couple of cautions have been able to put himself in a spot for him to fight back up. He is a top 10 car at 40 laps to go. And now the lone driver dropping back topside is going to be Rittenauer. Absolutely no help until he finds either, well, I was going to say the 06 or a spot on line, forcing his way in front of Atwell.
Certainly is right there, as down the rest of them will come. Everyone trying to scramble that low side here. Getting that want to run a few more laps here, feeling, Evan. These guys just want to ride. No one's trying to push. Maybe get about 20 laps here. Maybe go for a green flag stop and then go to the end here. I don't want everybody being involved in this one. Just the front group.
And this lead pack is now going to be much bigger, obviously, than it was. Something that we spent a lot of time talking about, the chances of this race going green was the fact that we had a top 11 car breakaway. We are still a trip down to the pit lane away from the end of this race. So that is still a possibility that if we get to that position under green flag conditions, we've obviously grouped up as a pack and gotten to green flag pit stops and gotten through them once tonight. Nobody says that we can't do it for a second time. Then that would split up the pack at least into twos, just based on conventional wisdom on how many drivers lose touch with the lead pack through the cycle of pit stops, and that would, I think, help the chances of having a good run to the end of this race. But again, we're inside of 40 to go. You don't really know what's going to happen. 20 laps, next thing you know, we're down to the 20 to go, and things are going to really start to get crazy. The fuel's weird here, because we could start to see drivers down pit road as early as lap 70, and they'd be able to make it to the end. We could see drivers staying out to maybe as late as lap 80, so you never know.
Certainly going to be, of course. And we see a bit of a breakaway starting here. Top 7 or so are jumping out. It's, at the moment, Altmans, Henry, Haggerty, Jorgensen Jr., Warren, McEachin right now a second. The next pack, led by Derek Walker, just starting to fall away a little bit. Apple's pushing, as is the 49 car of Saunders, but we're starting to see that breakaway forming even now with them being single file, Evan.
Yeah, you're going to have those little groups who are able to put problems behind, though. Tom Dryerly involved in an accident. The 06, heavy damage. Back in corners 3 and 4, no caution. He'll stay off of the racetrack. We'll try to get a second look at this one in just a moment. The 06 went off to turn 3 at lap 57 and came down a little bit on Brandon Cruz Monsivais. You're taking a second look now, and a big hit for not only Dryerly, but also for Nathan Davis. 2 drivers involved, so I don't think we'll see a caution come down from the flag stand, and we'll stay green.
Certainly will at the moment stay green as Altmans and McEachin. Front group there. One at the front, one at the back, and well, McEachin at the rear of that group is trying to find his way forwards, but didn't work. The 20-4 though, that second pack Evan have caught back up again. So once again, we have that big train here, which runs about all the way back to Chaburko, who's still on the lead lap after his, well, absence of brain earlier on. He could still be a contender in this one.
That's why you can't necessarily just give up on things. If, you know, there's some people who are in this lead pack who at points in this race were 20 seconds off of the lead group. And you know, for all intent and purposes, out of this thing. Until a caution brought him back into it. And again, those caution flags could come at any given moment. We could have easily seen a yellow on that last incident. Tight squeeze for P2. Looked like Haggerty was trying to come down and it was really going to pinch the 51 and the 88. That's a real tight end for him.
Really is. Front group there getting kind of aggressive here, Evan. They're really starting to move now. We're inside that final 40 to go, as you said, and well, the 6 gets forced out, the 76 is forced out. Haggerty and Warren both move to the outside. Not really hooked up. They can go backwards at this stage if they can't find a gap. There are some gaps, but they weren't big enough for the 76. The 6 finds a slot in there, but wow, Corey Henry at the point here is making a move is Jason Altmans.
The outside race, they're going to get a big run down the back straightaway. Altmans is at least going to be clear. No love for the 88 machine. He is going to be trapped up on the outside. But back to the race lead at lap number 60 is that number 51 machine of Jason Altman. So as he gets himself now back into the number 1 position, now the 88's going to have to find some help on the outside. But you're definitely right as we observe those guys get really tight in the corner there just 2 laps ago, that I think the intensity is definitely starting to pick up come this point in the race. There's a lot more bumping. Look at the 20, a shot to the back of the 88, that time in turn 1, trying to get something jump-started on the outside line.
Certainly is, and they're starting to get this moving now as, well, they got him to the front, but here comes Jorgensen Jr. He wants a part of this pie too. He's got Derek Walker with him in that 20 car. Just start to go forwards. Altmans as well, and the 49 of Saunders. They're going to do what they can to go to the front, but Atwell doesn't think it's going to happen. He will pull down.
Yeah, he does not have complete confidence in something working up there. Look at the 12 machine, though. Corey Henry steps out from behind your race leader. Again, that's a great position to make a move from, but it is tough unless you make it coming right off of the corner. You'll get a push to turn 1. It'll be a good shot for the 88. Needed about 3 or 4 more feet, though. Not going to get clear. And now watch for those guys at the inside to be able to battle back, and right there, they're going to be able to take the advantage back. But more and more drivers leaving the safe haven of, you know, 2nd through 5th in line on the bottom and going to the top because they're trying to make something happen.
Certainly are, and they are making it happen right now as Henry looking towards the front, pushed by Jorgensen Jr. now. McEachin behind him, and Walker, that's a strong outside line we're seeing there. Walker just not too keen to be involved. He's going to drop back a little bit as the 28 will go too, leaving just the 12 and the 88 on the top side. Can they make it work? It's going to be tough.
Sparks fly from underneath the 51 that time as they went down to that 4th lane that exists only in the tri-oval and nowhere else around the racetrack. These cars really, though, like to bottom out there, and the sparks will fly outside of the racetrack. There you see the 06 of Tom Dryerling go. He was able to get that machine to pit road. I believe he took the quick tow into the pit lane because he wasn't able to drive that machine. He has used his quick fix. Problem is, though, he's now 2 laps down with no drafting support in sight. It may be a long night from this point on for him. Getting a little bit squirrely, though, in that lead pack. The 6 got a little bit tight on that yellow line. Checked up the field just a little bit. You can definitely feel, though, that the tension starting to get nice and tight as this race starts to close in on 31 laps to go as of this time by.
Certainly does, and well, things are definitely getting a bit more exciting towards the front now as these guys are beginning to push now to stay at the front here. And staying at the front is the name of the game. If we get cautions, it helps to be towards the front end. Better pit stalls, better access to pit road, and more importantly, a chance to go for it when it comes down to Evan.
2 by 2 in the battle for the top spot, and maybe the 12 of the 88 have a disagree on sort of what the best strategy is going to be able to get up to that spot. But nonetheless, now 3 drivers on the outside. Again, there is a lot that you can do. The more, and ironically enough, in fact, the less drivers that you have in the lead pack, the more action you're actually going to see to an extent. Because you're going to have a little bit more space, and you're going to be able to stretch out the legs, make a couple of moves, battle for the race lead. Though, can the 12 get it? He's so close, but he just can't make the step down. Barely hanging on the inside as a 51.
Barely hanging on indeed there as these guys doing what they can to keep this one going, but one thing I've noticed, Evan, is after a bit of a run, these cars tend to get greasy on those tires. You'll find getting out of turn 2 and getting through and into turn 3, turning down tightly, it starts to get a little tougher on those cars. They start to push up a little bit off that bottom lane, so you want to keep an eye on that. These guys really have to get their hands full as these tires run down.
And again, they are in the pit window. You can come down pit road now, and you should be able to make it to lap number 94. 29 laps to go as of this time by is at the longer end of the fuel run. But that should just
outside it, Evan.
Yeah, they're closing in on this thing. And again, they don't have to pit in 5 laps when that window is going to open. They can go probably another 10, 15 laps. So my curiosity is, does everybody pit together? Because more or less, we saw on that first sunken green flag pit stop, which ended up being our only cycle through this point now, to lap number 66. A couple of people at the back came down pit road, but the whole lead pack came in together. And it ended up working out to an 11-car lead pack once they got back out on track. Does maybe the front half or the back half decide to pit by themselves? Or are we going to see everybody come back down at once again?
I think we'll see him break up at this one. I think we'll see some loyalties kick in now, even if we get green flag stops in this one. And I think we'll see some guys come down for a stop perhaps anyway. You're not going to lose a lap if you pit here under green at Talladega. So maybe a group or two might come and take a chance. Because if we get a caution later on, then, well, they don't need to come down. They get to stay out. If the caution comes out, people need to pit, they gotta pit. So that could give you track position. Plus, if it does go green, you're not going to lose much by coming in a little bit early. So I think we'll see some guys do it as all very close there. Junior nearly running into the side of written out a second, but I think he just did.
Well, it's the usual suspects up front, and again, for those who may just be tuned in, this is the first race of the playoff on this CC14 championship. If you want to know who the chase drivers are, the top of the windshield has the green banner, as opposed to the black one that all the other drivers have. And if you also want to keep an eye on where all 12 chase competitors are running, their number boxes at the top of your screen on the ticker going to be outlined in green. You win, you get an automatic ticket for the round of 12 into the round of 6. So critical moments for some of these names up front.
Really is, and some of these guys want to push those tickets in. They want those points for a start. Give themselves a good head start going into the next couple of rounds, but, well, a win. And that's just comfortable.
Yeah, and these guys right now, 3x3, or rather 2x3, I guess, up at the front of the field in line here. But this lead pack has settled down a bit outside of the top 5 because I think there's maybe 13 drivers still left in it. The problem is, if you're the last driver in the pack, it's very difficult if you check up for any reason to be able to hang on to the back of the draft. And once one driver falls off, the next driver becomes the last, and then he'll start to slide back, and you just lose a couple of cars that way. So, you know, like Andrew Berger and Brandon Chiburko, they've actually lost connection with this lead pack and are about a second off. They might, if they pushed it, be able to get back up because there's two of them, but they are in a little bit of a danger zone back there. And then it's a really big jump back to Dan Harrington and Mike Thiel, who have fallen way off 10 seconds in 16th and 17th.
Certainly is, of course, and well, this one's definitely getting a little bit more intensive as the laps do wind down. Got a big group starting to form now, and these guys at the outside want to get this one going here. Want to get themselves further forwards, and Junior, he's been up there all day. He's wanted to keep a certain eye on for the victory today, but I've been impressed by Altman's so far, Evan. Altman's has been very strong. He's been consistently out of front now. He's put his serious hat on. Hasn't been cruising. He's been riding right at the front.
You take a look at names like Haggerty, who started 19th. He's made, you know, quite a ways of a trip to get up to the top 5. Altman's has been here all night, but did start back in 10th. Atwell, Warren, guys who started outside of the top 10, but more or less, we haven't seen anybody creep into this picture late. You know, somebody like a Scott Saunders may be able to put themselves in a position who was not in this spot right before that caution came just shy of the halfway point. He's in 12th now, so he could be somebody who could really take advantage of the fact that a caution flag came out in this race and now two to this point and do something with it. I don't think that that caution flag has too much negatively affected the race leaders.
Yeah, certainly, and wow. The race leaders are going to be very interesting to keep an eye on for this one as we go through the lap 71 run right now, heading towards the end of this. We are now in that kind of 23-ish, 24-ish lap range now, Evan. We're definitely in pit stop territory. We're going to see a lot of people head to pit road now, I think. This is really the mark you want to be going in for. And it's going to be tough. If these guys go green here, I think it'll go green to the end.
Yeah, especially if you get through that cycle of pit stops. I think that is the best chance. However, nothing stops 4 drivers or 10 drivers, however many drivers are in the lead pack and 10 to go. I don't think that matters. I think they're all just going to go crazy. And again, there is less incentive to points race, I think, based on the way that this chase is and the playoff format than it was in a regular season. I would strongly suggest to many people, with the cutoff being 12, top 12, to not wreck your car going for a win. But because that half of this group is going to be eliminated, you get racked out at Daytona next week, you could be done. And then you'll be forced the next time we come back to Talladega to have to get a win. So I'm not sure. I don't tell these guys to go for it late.
Yeah, exactly, and I think these guys will be going for it late, but I think this green flag stop that's about to happen, this will shape the whole race. If you can get that best stop in here, that's going to be so important. So being at the front and the clean run onto and off pit road will be so important. And right now, Altman's is starting to defend. Look at that, he looks up to try and get in front of Junior. And well, I think these guys are starting to fight now to keep this front.
Well, I think that they're doing a good job with the 88 and the 51 of actually kind of holding the inside and then holding the outside, and I'm not sure that they really want to go anywhere else. You see the 51 keeping it on the outside, moves up just a little bit, make sure that they're aware of what's going on, but I think that these guys love the position that they're in right now. I don't think they have any reason to battle amongst each other. They're going to go 3 wide lap traffic. The double over to Wayne Cooper going to fall a second lap down. That leaves Brandon Cruz-Monsiváis as the only driver 1 lap down. He would be in the lucky dog position if we were to get a caution flag, and that would be great news for him to get himself back into the battle for the race lead. Contact with the 51 sideways at a 2. That was close.
Very close there, Evan, and he keeps the lead after going sideways. That was some impressive car control from Altman's there, as everyone's backing off a little bit from that one. Guys trying to collect their thoughts from that one as the replay shows the action, the Tokyo drifting there. And Jason Altman's coming out of turn 2. So he gets himself going in this one. Things are heating up now.
Yeah, and I don't think that was the objective amongst those two, but it did get a little bit too close for comfort, I think, for both parties involved in that one. And good news for the 51, the 88, they're able to maintain the grip on the top spot. Now, though, inside of 20 laps to go, you have to think, you got to start thinking about coming down pit road. I don't know how much longer you want to wait. Obviously, nobody wants to pit first, although the short pit isn't as bad at a 2.66 mile racetrack as opposed to, and basically any other series that we cover, because you don't have to worry about falling a lap down and then therefore getting stuck a lap down by a caution flag coming out. But these guys, I think, definitely are starting to chat with each other, trying to strategize. What are we going to do? When are we going to do it?
88 Junior to the lead here, is out on the outside. Corey Henry left out in the cold here, Evan. Pit stops have begun. Some drivers coming off pit road now. And this is critical for Jorgensen Jr. He gets that first run into pit road. That'll be so important for him. His front pack, though, it's looking strong. I really have a ticket here on Altman's. This could be a big race.
Well, drivers coming over the radio this time. Garrett Atwell says that he'll be pitting the 20, the 49. So the 6 on the radio. Who is going to pit again? Do they all come down? Do we see 2 groups? Do we see 3 groups? That could be big in determining just who's able to battle this thing out for the race lead at the go or go home point at about 15 laps from now. Everybody going to come down with the exception of about 6 drivers. They are led by Jorgensen.
It certainly is. And wow, that was a little bit of contact maybe behind that lead group in the kind of back end of it. Coming onto pit road, I think the 28 there of Vakichin making contact with the number 4 of Garrett Atwell. Oh, big hit there. The 28's front is definitely pushed in. Contact as well from the 20 from behind. Replay there for you, of course, the 4 has a mashed up rear end. Guys pulling off pit road, and the advantage is we look towards the 28 and the 51 here, as they will get ahead of the 88 and the 57. So backup car for the 28, but the 51 getting going hard, pushing themselves on the apron here. These guys just inherited the lead and they want to keep it.
That number 1 pit staller, in Jorgensen's case, the number 2, he had the best pit stall, quote-unquote, out of those guys on the pit lane, is so good under caution flying pit stops, because you can beat those guys to the exit of the pit lane line, but you might not necessarily be at full speed. But on the green flag conditions, you have to take that much longer to get up to speed. Those guys cross the line, they take off, and the 88 may have been the 2nd driver off of pit road, but he ends up 4th, just based on the speed that those drivers ended up with. So they're going to group up. This is where the group's going to be. 2nd drivers, though, down pit road. Brandon Chaburko going to lead this pack off of pit road, followed by Berger, Piscini, Wofford, and company. That group now off of the pit lane. So where do they cycle through? Are they going to be in front of or behind the group that pitted a lap before?
Well, we'll keep an eye here on McEachin and on Altman's with the 88 and the 87 as they're going to come up behind those cars, racing off pit road, and I think they're going to be ahead of them for now. But I think this pack is up to speed enough to look at the closing distance here, Evan, on the back stretch here, on the Alabama super stretch, and wow, the closing distance is huge. I think they're going to get caught and overhauled here because there's still 2 pairs and there's a 4 coming.
Yeah, these guys are up to speed. 201 miles an hour for McEachin, 190 for Rodney Wofford, who would be the first driver to get caught, but I'm not too sure that Chaburko and Berger might not get this thing as they try to get up to speed. I think that 2nd group with less drivers and maybe a little bit of less congestion might be able to do this thing. It depends on if the 28 and the 51 want to force the issue and go right to the outside of the racetrack, or if they decide to just pull a line behind them. But I think they might have to go with the latter of the 2 because they're not much quicker. I just had second thoughts when they came at a 2 because I saw the 22 and a 24 really starting to drop back to the 1 and the 7. But that 2nd group's going to be able to get the job done. New race leader, lap 7 and on, Brandon Chaburko. Keep it in mind, Rachel, 10 laps ago, I was just telling you about how he and Berger were almost out of touch with the lead pack. They were 1.6 seconds back. Now they're leading it at 15 to go.
It certainly are there, and sorry about that, but technical problems on my end. But yeah, exactly. Look at it, Chaburko out front with 24 and the 1 and the 7. It's going to make things interesting, but the 2nd pack here, setting those slouches, they can make them move forwards if they need to here. We're going to be on 14 to go at the end of this lap, and, well, they're in the hot seat for the right time.
So now we are at the point at which you can go for it. There are no more pit stops to worry about. All you got to do is get a checkered flag. This thing is going to be determined amongst the top. Got an 8-car lead pack coming out of turn 4. 8 drivers have a shot at this thing.
Certainly is, of course, but as things stand, yeah, 8 cars that could decide this win. If we don't get a caution here, that could make things very tricky if we see that happen. A caution here, well, I think we wouldn't go a lap or 2 without having a second one. If we stay like this, I think we're good for the next 14 laps, but it's going to be close.
And something that is also strange to conventional wisdom, but again, those who race on the big tracks will be aware, there's a lot less passing in about the last 10 laps than there is in probably the opening 10 laps. And that's just because early on you can make moves, you can test things out, you can go to the outside, you can fall back and recover. If you make a move to the outside and it doesn't work at 10 to go, that may be your race. You are not going to have another opportunity to get up there, and you're not going to be able to battle for the race lead. So the risk is a lot higher, and that risk versus reward is a little bit less tempting to do. Now, once you get to the white flag, I don't think anybody really cares. Once you get to maybe 3 or 2 laps to go, nobody really cares. But you see the 88, he does not want to have to try to wait until the 2 to go when everybody really starts to go for it from 8th position. Trying to go to the outside. He'll be able to make up some headway because the guys on the inside right now just lifting off of the throttle so that they can stay in line. If he pinches on the outside, he'll be able to get maybe halfway up, but he's going to need some help if he wants to go all the way.
Certainly is at the moment, and well, they are going to try as hard as they can here. Chaburko's going to be a tough one to pass. He can work those lanes, especially seeing as we've got really our running order for majority of the race here is kind of reversed, as we didn't have Conte there with Britain out of second and Junior at the back of this lead group, but our running order is kind of reversed here. So the fast guys are kind of at the back, but we've got some very big talents towards the front, Evan, and that could shake this up. They could fight hard for this one as the clock is running down. It's 11 laps to go, and not a lot of time to make a move.
And if a caution were to come out, too, that takes a big chunk of this race out. I don't think that it would really hurt the racing because we'll get more than 8 drivers to fight for it. So the guy is 9th on back. 9th through 17th would love that. That would be Corey Henry, Garrett Atwell, and Scott Warren, who are 5 seconds back. Jared Haggerty, Derek Walker, Ramon Evans, Scott Saunders, Dan Harrington, who are 17 seconds back, and Mike Thiel, who's 30 seconds back. They would love no more than to see a caution flag get back into this thing. These top 8, they'll have to be smart. They obviously don't want to take each other out and, ruin their race and have to dig themselves out of a hole going into the next 2 races of this round of 12, but I think they have to consider, take it easy, just a little bit. Make sure that you don't get a caution and bring that many more drivers into this thing. I would much rather, I think, get a top 8 finish than cause a wreck, get 17 cars in the lead lap, have something go wrong, and then finish 17th position. Although I did say go for it. It is the chase. So I don't think that 22 at Chaburko is going to take things lightly. He's your race leader. Expect him to make that Ford Fusion very wide as the inside opens up for Altmans and he slides down P2.
See, exactly. He just let Altmans in, but he didn't let Jorgensen Jr. in. That's an absolute tactical move there by Chaburko for that one, as that could have been friendlier, but of course the two of them would rather try and beat each other. And I mean, look at that. I mean, we saw Chaburko, we saw Jorgensen Jr. and Altmans get up towards the front very rapidly there, so it is possible in this group, but he's on the outside with no help. He's going to go behind McEachin here. Chubbs, he's controlling this one.
Inside of 10 laps to go. Now from the Talladega Superspeedway. Race leader is Brandon Chaburko. He is trailed by Altmans, and then Berger, Passini, Jorgensen, Wofford, McEachin, and Rittenauer are your top 8 on the racetrack. By the way, all 8 of those names, with the exception of, I believe, the final one in line with Rittenauer, those are your championship competitors. That would be 7 drivers up here, so you can finish in the top 7, Rachel, not even leave tonight in a transfer spot.
Absolutely. It would be a perfect time for them, of course, to be in that sort of spot, and it's exactly what they'd like to have happen in this race. But, wow, we'll see if they can stay in this order, if all of them will finish, of course, who are in this lead group, because that's still not as yet, as perhaps ticking away fast.
Only one driver on the outside. It remains to be the 88. Now starting to fall off of this lead pack is Rittenauer. So it is going to be a 7-car breakaway to the end of this race, full of 7 chase drivers. If you didn't think that these chase guys would come to play, you were sorely mistaken, because here they are, side by side. Now help coming to the outside of the racetrack. The 1 get a step to the outside. The 7 get to follow him as well. It is going to be inline topside, Jorgensen, Piscini, and Wofford.
Certainly is, of course, and this is starting to really get intense as we're going to get down into the final 8. Look at this, Jorgensen Jr. to the outside. Going to fight there with Chaburko. Can he get past him on his own? That would be heroic. They're getting very close here. Big work on the lines here. Trying to sidetrack as hard as they can.
Somewhere.
Huge
Haggerty's
his car.
up.
Yeah.
6. From the race lead, something happened with Jared Haggerty. That Ford Fusion not only lost the engine, but it has heavy damage, and he was involved in an accident. He had a self-spin that looked like he might have been turned by the double O lap 85 in the tri-oval. We will maybe get a second look at that one. Obviously, all eyes going to stay up front, but that's a single car accident. No caution. We stay green, and here comes a challenge for the race lead. Jorgensen on the outside. Half a car length to the good. Chaburko going to pull him tight. Drag race to the line, but the 88 got it.
Yeah, certainly is. And the 88 will hold it for now, but could he hold it as Chaburko has the inside line into the next corner? Advantage to the inside lane, of course, with one more car behind them, and the inside line being shorter. Should see Chaburko pull clear of Jorgensen Jr. there on the inside, but will it last for long? The outside's pushing hard here. They want to go, and it's going to be the 88 and the 1, but we did see, though, last time by, even from the outside and where he is now, Evan, he made it to line first.
And all of these drivers up at the front of the field chat with each other on the radio, so they are well aware of what the plan may be, trying to work with each other. Only the 7 and the 1, the drivers in this top 7, are in a separate radio channel. The other 5 all have the ability to talk to each other as this thing works down to the end. I'm sure that they would not be objected to, old buddies getting into the next round, but I think that the win and the automatic bid, I think that has to be an every man for himself kind of deal.
I think it really is at this stage, of course, and these guys, well, there are alliances, there are friendships, but this is a chase slot. This is a win and you're locked in. This is a situation of really wanting to get secure. Chaburko trying to defend against what's essentially going to be 2 lanes at once here. Everybody wants to beat him, but these guys need to make sure they keep themselves in the race, because as much as you want to win this one and lock yourself in, Evan, these guys are going to be in safe points positions from these spots. You want to risk not being in those points at all just to try and grab that win.
This time by 89 laps going to be complete. We take lap number 90. 5 laps to go from Talladega. So at the point of no return when we cross the start finish line the next time, which means that the next flag would end this race, whether it be a yellow or whether it be the white and black checkered flag, because we would not have an opportunity to cycle through a caution flag service, open a pit lane, close the pit lane, so on and so forth. And there is no overtime. 94 laps on the board. No more, no less. So this time by, at 4 laps to go, there's no looking back.
There certainly is not at all any chance for these guys to look backwards. It's all eyes forwards. No time to drive in the mirror now, as it's going to be 2 wide. 3 deep here in your front pack. The 28 dropping back. I think he sees the writing on the wall. There's going to be a wreck soon, says Shane McEachin, as he will drop back here and say, nope, I do not want to be involved.com/get me out of here.
Better hope that's the case, because the 28, I'm not sure he's going to be able to catch back up on his own. If he's, the 6-7 car lengths back, he, I think, is going to suffer the same fate of Rittenauer. Rittenauer was just a part of this lead group. He is nearly 10 seconds back at the 8th spot. And McEachin going to start to fall back now. So the top 6 at a racetrack, your top 6 are all playoff competitors. And they're 3 by 3. This time at turn number 4. He's going to be coming. Take 3 laps to go.
They certainly are, and this is going to get intense as we've got Brandon Chaburko, Jorgensen Jr., Jason Holmans, Chris Massini, Andrew Berger, and Rodney Wofford. Your top 6. One of these cars is going to win the race, barring disaster, Evan. And right now, it's looking at the fight between the 22 and the 88.
They are deadlocked together, and Chaburko's normally the guy who makes it 3 wide. So if you're the 51, the 1, the 24, and the 7, you get together and go to a 3rd lane. When are you going to make that move? If you do, or do you really get up and try to push the guy in front of you clear so that you can go either high or low? And try to make a move on them your own. But you see the 22 trying to work both lanes. You got to be very careful when you do that, not to turn yourself over somebody else's nose.
Absolutely, and that could be a race-ending move if you get it wrong, of course. Finding contact early. Oh, it nearly happened there with the 22 and the 88 there. As Chaburko nearly turned himself around the nose of the alien Jorgensen Jr. there. Could have been disaster at that stage, Evan. Behind him, the 51 and the 1. Everyone's heart skipped a little bit of a beat there as things got a little too close for comfort.
2 by 2, then single file for 5 and 6. Penultimate time. Now the Alabama gang super stretch will go off to quarter number 3. Still side by side. Outside Jorgensen, inside Chaburko. On the line is a ticket to the championship round of 6 at a Superspeedway Cup Series Season 14 playoff. White flag to fly this time by. Still hard to say who has an advantage over the other. It'll be a drag race to 2.66 miles left to go.
Certainly will be in lap traffic on the outside. The number 6 car, Jared Haggerty, in a backup machine there as he goes round past the top side, as the 88, the 22 going to be running side by side behind them. 51 and the 1, Wofford and 24. These guys dropping back. They don't think they're in it, but they might risk staying out of a crash. Evan, it's all yours.
A little bit of a door bang. That time, here they come. Final time to quarters 3 to 4. Inside of the racetrack, Chaburko to the good by half a car length. But the run is going to come courtesy of the outside. Down to 33 degrees of banking. Does somebody try to make one more move? Jorgensen needs a push on the back end. They're going to come side by side. Chaburko, though, going to pull away, coming out of the tri-oval, and he'll go to a championship. Chaburko wins from Talladega.
Fantastic final run there by Brandon Chaburko, necking it to the line past Mark Jorgensen Jr. Altman and Bassini have to settle for a second row seat.
The 88 just needed a little bit more, and falling off of the back end there late. Bassini just couldn't give that little bit extra to the back bumper, and to the tune of 3/100ths of a second, it is going to be Brandon Chaburko getting the win and that bye into the round of 6. Great races, though, for Mark Jorgensen Jr. Jorgensen came in at the top of the championship. He'll be second, the highest driver in based on points. He had a 15-point advantage. A P2 will be a great result for the driver of the 88 machine. Great results for Altmans, Bassini, Wofford, Berger, McKeechan, the top 7 all Chase competitors.
Certainly are, and a fantastic run through after the top 7 goes to Ruben Ella second, down in 8th place with Corey Henry in 9th, Scott Warren in 10th. Behind him is Garrett Atwell in the 11th spot, Derek Walker in 12th, Ramon Evans is in 13th, Scott Saunders, Dan Harrington, and Mike Thielen, your last lead lap runners in the top 16.
And then the rest of the guys who came home were still on track, but laps down. 17th, 1 lap down to Wayne Cooper, Brandon Cruz, Vaughn Savice, and Tom Dryerling were 2 laps down, 18th to 19th. 20th, Jared Haggerty was on track. Behind the wall, Paul Servant, Nathan Davis, Rod Flagg, and Glenn Hedrick. So that's a look at how they came home tonight. We will chat, though, with your top finishers in just a moment. Take this opportunity, step aside one more time, and we come back. We will be headed to Gatorade Victory Lane to have a conversation with our first of what we know will be 6 drivers battling for a championship at about 4 weeks' time. So we'll step aside. You're watching LSRTV's continuing coverage of the Superspeedway Cup Series playoff on iRacing Live, post-race from Talladega when we come back.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
The NASCAR Beginner Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live. Welcome back live to the Talladega Superspeedway, where Brandon Chiburko came into tonight to part of the round of 12 and leaves as the lone member locked in to the round of 6. With his win tonight, he will battle for a championship, a 3-week fight that kicked off on the 9th of June. Still plenty of ways to go from there, and still 5 spots to be determined. Great races, though, for the drivers who come home second and third tonight and get a lot of points, one of which I am trackside with right now. Mark Jorgensen Jr. came into tonight courtesy of all of the bonus points he racked up from getting the wins in the regular season at the top of the playoff grid, and he will leave tonight at the top of the points in the playoff grid. Jorgensen gets a P2 tonight. We're with the driver of the 88. Mark, congratulations. I know you guys wanted to give it a little bit extra, almost netting another one here from Talladega. It's still a P2 result. It's a good race for you guys.
Oh, it is, man. Second place freaking sucks, man. I was trying so hard that last run, whenever we got that outside lane working, after those round of green flag pit stops, I was pinching. I mean, I probably should have been turned numerous times tonight with how aggressive I was with the pinching, but I felt like that's what I needed to do to keep on pushing myself forward. And, just come up one spot short. Chris was giving it all he had. I'm sure he was cooking, but, man, I just – I don't know, man. I really wanted that one. Like I said, it's good night in the points, but, man, this sucks.
The good news is, obviously, you guys have multiple wins on the season. So, as noted, you came into tonight with 15 bonus points, which definitely helps the cause. And, it's not the buy into the round of 6. I know you guys would have loved that, but basically you get max points out of this thing as far as the now 11 drivers who are still battling for what's going to be 5 transfer spots. So I know that it has to be, not sure, satisfying is the right word, because obviously, you got maybe 4 extra hundredths of a second, and you could just put your feet up and chill for the next 2 weeks. But it is still good in the grand scheme of things. You guys ran great. You qualified up front. You ran up front. This race went green for nearly the whole opening half of this thing without incident before a caution flag back in the pack slowed things down. But I believe we only had 2 yellows on the night. Just kind of talk to us about how the atmosphere was.
Man, so that's pretty cool. Usually with the start of our races, everybody's just super aggressive, gung ho. Just basically picking up where they left off last Friday night. So for us to go several laps, I mean, I can't remember exactly the number of laps that we opened up the race with without a caution, but I mean that was awesome. To be honest with you, I don't think we've done that this season at all to open up a race. So that was pretty cool. And it's always cool to do green flag pit stops. I think that's where a lot of the greater guys in this league benefit, be able to get on and off pit road without any issues, without sliding through the box, without speeding. I mean, y'all saw it up there in the booth. I mean, I think we had 11 or so cars up there in that top pack. That was, I know at one point I saw that we was 4.5 seconds over the second pack, and I don't know what we finished off with, how far ahead we were of them, but yeah, that's cool, man. I like the green flag racing. I like the green flag pit stops. I mean, my dang right foot is so freaking sore right now. I mean, I was pushing on that dang gas pedal as hard as I could trying to get the win. I mean, I would have liked to have been able to lock myself into the next round, take these next 2 weeks just to have fun with the guys. But we're going to keep on doing what the 88's been doing all season. We're going to run like hell. We're going to do what we got to do to for sure finish the races. But, man, I would love to win me one for sure, to lock my chances. But yeah, good point tonight. Definitely looking forward to Daytona next Friday.
I know that I was talking as the night went on, because of the way that your guys' playoff is kind of shaped specifically. There is no, we start with 12, but we don't go to 9 and then 6 and then 3. We cut the field in half. So I said that I would expect people to be a little bit more tenacious towards the end of these things, to get the difference between a win and to get the points. But for you guys at a very, I think, fantastic position, came in 15 points up on some guys. You come home second tonight, so you'll be the highest driver on points, second overall, I guess, on the playoff grid. Does that give you any reason to just kind of points race for the next 2 weeks and to kind of coast in around the top 10 because you have that? Or are you guys just going to do what you normally do and hope that you don't try to be overly cautious and that kind of gets you in trouble?
Man, I would like to sit here and tell you that we're going to use our heads, be smart, with how we're looking in the points. We're going to points race, but that's not what the 88 team's all about. We want to go out there. We want to put on a great show for the fans that are watching. I want to do good for myself and show these guys that, hey, if I advance to the final round, I mean, y'all will have to put up with me. I mean, I'm not just going to lay over or anything like that. I mean, I want to try to get to the front. I want to lead all the laps. I want to win all the dang races. And I mean, that's my mindset. But I think hopefully next Friday night at Daytona, hopefully we have another good finish. A top 5 would be great. Top 10 would be decent. But after Daytona, after I finish that race, hopefully I finish, in the top 5 or top 10. We'll see where we're at in points. And I'm sure that last race, when we go back to Talladega in the first round, I'm sure we'll probably use our heads. We don't want to get crashed out. We want to make sure that we can advance ourselves. But I'm just looking forward to this whole chase, man. I'm surprised that 2 weeks consecutive I'm talking to y'all guys up here in the booth. That's pretty cool. But yeah, we're just gonna run like hell, Evan. I mean, I'm gonna pinch. I'm gonna block. I just hope I don't cause no wrecks in doing it. But yeah, we're gonna be very aggressive.
I always say honesty is the best policy. So I look forward to seeing the 88 doing what you guys normally do. I'll let you take off here. Second place result at the top of the points portion of the playoff grid. Mark, anybody else want to say hi to?
Yeah, Evan, always, want to give the first huge shout out to Rob Flag for putting this on, for continuing to put this on to where us guys can come out here Friday night and just race each other super hard, create a lot of online friendships. I love all the guys in this league. LSRTV for the broadcast. I mean, I got it pulled up on my computer right now, or my laptop. I'll definitely be watching it, when we're done here. All of y'all up in the booth, I always tell y'all do a heck of a job, and I mean it. I mean, y'all are top notch, the best of the best. I'm glad y'all are broadcasting our league. That's awesome. To Chris Passini for trying like hell there in the last closing laps. I know all the fans wanted to see the 88 win at Talladega. Come up just a little bit short. I'm sure we'll get us one before the end of the season. And then just another shout out to Cisco for painting this amazing LSRTV card. Looks looks great on track, looks great on the broadcast. I mean, I'm just loving it, man. It's great season.
Well, I was about to tell you that you definitely had the people pull it for you. It's still a good result. I know you wanted that extra 3/4 of a car length, but you guys are off on the right step and much better than a handful of guys. So, Mark, thanks for sticking around and chatting with us. As always, congratulations on powering that 88 machine to another solid result. We will see you next week, and based on how you guys have been racing, I'm sure we'll be chatting.
Thanks, Evan. Y'all take care.
So Mark Jorgensen Jr. comes home in second position tonight, just behind Tim, third overall in the race. The driver of the 51, Jason Altman's trackside with Rachel.
So it was. Thank you very much, Evan. Down here with Jason Altmans, and Jason, not quite the result you would have wanted today, but third place does net you some good positions in the points as this one goes forwards. But a win is still going to make you feel comfortable.
Yes. How long was Mark's interview? That seemed like an eternity.
He wrote a small novel.
Oh my God, he was just sitting there, and I was like trying to listen to the broadcast live there, and he's just going off for like half an hour about how great he is and how he's gonna murder people to be able to win a race and stuff. Something about the question, I don't know what you just said, but I'll take third place, honestly, because it got to the point where probably with 10 to go, and I got the 22 in front of me, I got the 80 in front of me, and I just kind of went, you know what, I think third is going to be the best we're going to be able to do. When you get those guys up front, that's it. I mean, they are so good with leading the line, blocking, and really doing some side drafting. So I'll take third. You know, it's been a while since I've had to do an interview, so we'll roll with this. You need a little bit of momentum going in here. So I do not know what to do with my hands.
Thought so. Jason Altman's there coming up in third place, but of course, a win is kind of what you need to really secure yourself in for this position. It's coming into a tricky part of the chase. And, well, do you think you could actually grab one before the cutoff?
It's going to be tough. You know, I keep looking at this and I go, I can easily make the next round. That ain't going to be an issue. But I think, you know, I was at the very beginning of the race and I looked at the after qualifying and I went, we're in trouble here because I think P1 through 10 were all chasers, and then even towards the end of the race there we're, you know, 1 through 6, 7, what the heck the lineup ended up being towards the end there. But you got to take every point that you possibly can here. That's why I was really trying to, I wanted to be up front and try to lead as many laps as possible, because every point is going to matter here, because the people that are in the chase, those are the ones that are going to be up front.
Certainly are. Anybody like to give a shout out to tonight, Jason?
Thanks to my wife for allowing me to have a steering wheel on my desk. I appreciate Rod Flagg for putting on a stellar league. Everybody at LSRTV. Evan doesn't want to say anything right now. Nope, Evan doesn't want to say anything. That's cool. That's all I got.
There you go. Jason Altman's come home today in the third spot. Evan, back to you.
Yeah, I'm not taking the bait. He can try. Not happening tonight for the driver of the 51. I'll tell him what. I'm sure he's probably tuning in. He'll get me to talk, and I'll chat with him for 5 minutes. Just win the next race. That'll be the challenge for the driver of the 51. But no, I mean, not able to chat with Chaburko today, Rachel, but great results for Jorgensen at Altman's. It does kind of tighten the noose a little bit on these guys. The fact that it's going to be 11 drivers now going for 5 spots, with Chaburko taking the ticket into the round of 6. But tonight was a great race, I think. Only 2 cautions. We saw a fantastic finish. We saw fantastic green flag action. If this is any sort of indication of what is due up over the next 5 races, I cannot wait for the rest of this playoff, though I'm sure there's a little bit of insanity in store for us at some point.
You're sure? I'm absolutely certain we're going to see some serious insanity coming up in short order, Evan. This has just started off with a bang. Wow, this one's going to go thermonuclear before it ends.
And we hope that if you enjoyed tonight, that you were going to join us all the way through this Superspeedway Cup Series playoff. Don't forget to join us tomorrow night on LSRTV and iRacing Live. We've got United Sim Racing Truck Series action. And if you want to find out the next time you can find us here on iRacing Live, you can make sure to go to our website at www.livesimracing.com for more information and an extended broadcast schedule. Also encouraging you to keep up to date with us on social media. Subscribe to us on YouTube. That'll be youtube.com/C/LSRTV to make sure you know that when we go live at any time. But also keep up to date with us on the socials. Follow us on Twitter at LSRTV and give us a like on Facebook. That'll be facebook.com/LSRTV official. That does things for here tonight from Talladega. We are into the playoffs. One race down, 2 to go at around 12 on behalf of the entire group at LSRTV. For the folks behind the scenes who are on air week in and week out, and for the broadcast crew tonight. For myself, Evan Pasoko, for Rachel Whiteford and Cisco Scaramuza, I want to congratulate Brandon Chaburko, who's going to the round of 6, and thank you for tuning in. The playoffs continue to march on. We will see you in 1 week's time for the World Center of Racing from Daytona for our continuing coverage of the Superspeedway Cup Series playoff on LSR TV, the voice of sim racing.